Shabbat Shalom to all who are of the 12 tribes scattered abroad, to all who desire glory to the Father, to all who seek by the power of perfect righteousness given in the Father's Spirit through Messiah, to seek obedience to the covenant of the Father, to all who are tired of lies, to all who seek truth. Greetings from Yah, our Father, and from Mashiach Yahweh Shai, Messiah. We have been studying the prophecy of Isaiah, and we're going to continue our study tonight in a very beautiful chapter. Beautiful chapter in Isaiah 62. And as usual, this is going to be tied to what's going on in the earth right now. And not only that, what has happened already, and not only that, what's going to happen very shortly. We did a study last weekend, and we spent about 5 hours or so going over Isaiah 61 and the implications for the year 2027. Here we are in the year 2020, and we're talking about 7 years from now. 7 years from now. Today, we're going to continue on that vein as we look at Isaiah chapter 61. Okay? Let us begin first in Second Chronicles chapter 36. Second Chronicles chapter 36. Second Chronicles 36. In Second Chronicles 36, it gives a description of the situation in the southern kingdom of Judah prior to the destruction of Solomon's temple, the destruction of the city of Jerusalem, and the taking in to captivity for the second time the children of Israel. The children of Israel have been, in the course of the Bible time, in terms of history, which the Bible basically covers a 6,000 year period of history. In the period of history of the 6,000 years that the Bible covers, the children of Israel on repeated occasions have been subject of captivity and bondage. On repeated occasions, they have been delivered from bondage. The children of Israel, in the course of the Bible, have been slaves and have been delivered from slavery on multiple occasions in the Bible. Generally, this slavery is as a result of their worshiping of other gods, other than the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? And the deliverance is always apparently tied to their return to the true God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. As a matter of fact, before we look at 2 Chronicles 36 real quick, let's turn to Deuteronomy chapter 5. Deuteronomy chapter 5. Deuteronomy 5. And we'll come back to 2 Chronicles chapter 36 in our discussion of Isaiah 62. I'm going to start at chapter 5, going to start at verse 1 and go down to verse 7. Deuteronomy chapter 5, from verse 1 to 7. And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and keep and do them. Yahweh our Most High made a covenant with us in Horeb. Yahweh made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. Yahweh talked with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire. I stood between Yahweh and you at that time to show you the word of Yahweh, for ye were afraid by reason of the fire and went not up into the mount, saying, I am Yahweh thy most high, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt have none other gods before me. That's the first commandment. Okay. And then he also goes on to say why he delivered them. He delivered them because of his promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because of his promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who he had chosen as his servants. And these are their children, the children of his servants, which he told Abraham, going to bless your seed after you. Okay. So he has chosen one people. The Bible tells us in Amos chapter 3, verse 1, you only, he tells Israel, have I chosen above all the families of the earth. In Zechariah chapter 2, he says, these, the children of Israel, are the apple of his eye. So just as a quick review of what I just said, the Most High, the creator of heaven and earth, chose a specific people for himself above all the populations of planet earth. And these people that he has chosen, oftentimes on multiple occasions, were in slavery. And they were in slavery in a particular way. Like this one, it says in the beginning of the covenant, I brought you out of the land of Egypt, Mizraim. The children of Ham had you in bondage, and I delivered you from that slavery, out of the house of bondage. Egypt not only means Mizraim, if you look it up, Mizraim is one of the children of Ham, but it also is used in context with bondage or slavery. So that Yah's chosen people were oftentimes placed in slavery. Okay? Now, because they are his chosen, he has promised his friend Abraham that he would keep them. He's going to deliver them. And prior to their deliverance, there's always repentance. And because the Creator knows the end from the beginning, he can speak unequivocally and understand that the final deliverance of Abraham's children is going to be preceded by repentance. And he also said in Jeremiah chapter 30, that the nations that held you in captivity, Israel, he's going to punish them. And he also said that all the nations, that is the heathen, the non-Israelite nations that have oppressed Israel, are going to receive double what they gave to Israel. So that when you see judgments fall on Israel in the Bible, just imagine double that on the world. Okay? So let's take a look. And now, 2 Chronicles chapter 30. 2 Chronicles chapter 36, excuse me. 2 Chronicles chapter 36. And let's take a look beginning at verse 11 of 2nd Chronicles chapter 36, beginning at verse 11. Zedekiah was 120 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, his Most High. And he humbled not himself before Jeremiah the prophet, speaking from the mouth of Yahweh. And he also rebelled against King Nebuchadnezzar, who had made him swear by Yah. But he stiffened his neck and hardened his heart from turning unto Yahweh Most High of Israel. Moreover, all the chief of the priests and the people transgressed very much after all the abominations of the heathen, and polluted the house of Yahweh, which he had hallowed in Jerusalem. And Yahweh Most High of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. But they mocked the messengers of the Most High, and despised his words, and misused his prophets, until the wrath of Yahweh arose against his people, till there was no remedy. Therefore he brought upon them the king of the Chaldees, who slew their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion upon young man or maiden, old man, or him that stooped for age. He gave them all into his hand. And all the vessels of the house of the Most High, great and small, and the treasures of the house of the Most High, and the treasures of the king and of his princes, all these he brought to Babylon. And they burnt the house of the Most High, and brake down the wall of Jerusalem, and burnt all the palaces thereof with fire, and destroyed all the goodly vessels thereof. And them that had escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon, where they were servants to him and his sons unto the reign of the kingdom of Persia, to fulfill the word of Yahweh by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed her Sabbaths. For as long as she lay desolate, she kept Sabbath, to fulfill 70 years. So, brothers and sisters, they got to the point where it was past redemption. Got to the point where the Most High said, this is enough. I'm going to just destroy the whole thing. Okay? This condition is now existing, as I mentioned earlier, on a worldwide scale at this point right now. It's conditioned to the point, is getting to the point where the Most High is saying, okay, I'm just going to destroy the whole thing. Okay? And of course, Messiah did teach us that as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the return of the Son of Man. Let's take a look very quickly at the days of Noah in Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6. I'm going to begin at verse 1. And I'm going to go eventually down to verse 13, but I'm going to begin at verse 1 in Genesis chapter 6. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Now, brothers and sisters, there's been a lot of erroneous teaching on this very verse. There are some teaching based on books outside the King James that angels had sex with women and had children. This is a lie. In Genesis chapter 4, verse 26, it says, and to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Anos. Then began men to call upon the name of Yahweh. So the sons of Yah, Shalom, Lucky, the sons of Yah are always those people who call on Yah's name as his people. Okay. Then in chapter 5, you begin to get a lineage, but it's not a lineage of everybody on the earth. It's a lineage of the sons of Yah. Okay, it's a lineage, and it starts with Adam. Then it goes to Seth. Now we know Adam had two other sons, right? He had two other sons. He had Cain and Abel, but this is the third son. And in Seth, the Bible says about Seth in chapter 5, it says, and Seth lived 105 years and begot Enos. This is when men began to call themselves by Yahweh's name. And Seth lived when he begot Enos 807 years, 807 years, and begot sons and daughters. So Seth was one of Yah's servants. He was one of the sons of Yah. And he had a son named Enos, who became one of the sons of Yah. But he had other sons that are not named aside from that over the course of 8 centuries. And this continued all the way till you got to Noah. Okay. Noah only had 3 children, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. It says it right there in Genesis chapter 5, verse 32. And Noah was 500 years old. He didn't have no children until he was 500. And Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay. The only children the Bible records him having is these 3. And the brother lived to be 950 years old. All right. So now, when it says the sons of Yah go into the daughters of men, these are people that belong to Yah, that were commingling, marrying into, having children with people that worshiped other gods. That's what it's talking about. In other words, there was spiritual compromise going on. That's what it's talking about. Okay? There was spiritual compromise from the truth that they knew going on. And Asatan was taking the children of these unions between people that belonged to the Most High and people that didn't. And he was blessed. Asatan was blessing them to become giants on the earth. We can see that today if you're paying attention. What do I mean? The Ados, listen now, the African descendants of slaves are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These are his chosen people that recently come out of slavery, but really we're still in captivity and need deliverance, as you can see by what's going on the planet right now. Just this week, another black man shot, this time 7 times in the back at close range by some heathen called police. We're still in captivity. Okay. And what he's saying is the Ados today are mingling with the ways of the heathen. And some of them become giants. How did they become giants? They become rich and famous. Have you noticed, without getting into too much detail, those of you that understand will understand. As the Bible says, he that hear, let him understand. Have you noticed that when a black man makes it big in terms of entertainment, basketball, football, dancing, singing, acting, one of the first things he does is goes and gets him one of the heathen? Have you noticed that? When the first thing he does and goes and gets him one of the heathen and they have children. Have you noticed that? Okay. What he done. That's what was going on there. All right. So let's go back to chapter 6 now. That verse 2. that the sons of Yah saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took of them wives of all which they chose. And Yahweh said, verse 3, as a result of this, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. What does that mean? There was a countdown. In other words, the result of compromise created a situation that the Most High said was only going to last 120 years before it was all over. Because his spirit stopped striving with people. What does that mean? Yah's spirit tries to talk to human beings, especially those, listen carefully, especially those of his chosen seed. His spirit is trying to talk to them to bring them back from degradation, to bring them back from destruction, to bring them back from the sure result of what they're doing. You see, brothers and sisters, most people don't want to understand this truth, and yet I have to speak it anyway. I have to. The Most High don't care about the most of this planet. I know y'all don't want to hear that. He cares about everything involving his people. And he cares about the planet in as much as it affects his people. See, Christianity don't teach you that. God so loved the world, they say, that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. That's a famous quote of the Christian. But you got to understand, who was Messiah speaking to when he made those statements? He was speaking to Nicodemus, a ruler of the Hebrews. Nicodemus, a ruler of the Hebrews. That's who he was talking to. And there was no thought at that moment of doing anything with the heathen. The disciples themselves didn't even realize there was going to be any saved among the heathen until Kepha, Shimon, called Peter, was called to go witness to Cornelius. That's the first time in the Bible that you actually see salvation coming to the heathen. So when he said, Yah so loved the word does not mean every soul in the world. He's talking about his chosen people that have been scattered according to prophecy in the four corners of the earth. That's what he's talking about. He sent his son. The Messiah actually says that when he said to the woman, I came not but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's what he said. And then Gabriel himself, the angel, said to his mother and his father, thou shalt call his name. And the Bible puts Jesus, but there was no J. There's no Jesus. His name is his Hebrew name, Yahweh Shai. Some people might want to say Yahushua. Okay. We say Yahweh Shai. It means Yah exists to save. Why? He said because he's going to save his people from their sins. That's the object. Again, Zechariah said they are the apple of his eye. He didn't say the whole world was the apple of his eye. Zechariah 2, Jacob's children are the apple of his eye. Okay? And here we are, having been brought, as prophecy told us in Deuteronomy 28:68, you're going to be brought again into Egypt or the house of bondage by ships. Here we are. Here we are again. And just like in times past, he said to Moses, I have heard the cry of my people and their affliction, and I've come to deliver them. So here, it says here, my spirit shall not always strive with man. My spirit, as long as my spirit is with my chosen, there's a chance for the earth. But when my spirit stops striving with my people and they're ignoring it and they're not hearing it and they're not responding, I'm going to withdraw my spirit from them. Then the world's in trouble. Okay? Brothers and sisters, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming of the Son of Man. It's happening now. Okay? And you can see it because among the heathen, The Most High keeps the heathen back up off his people, right? When they're all in with him. See, when they're all obedient, you don't see the heathen attacking them. But when they're disobedient, he allows it. My spirit shall not always strive with men, for he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Verse 4, and there were giants in the land in those days. Also after that, when the sons of Yah came in unto the daughters of men, they bare children unto them. The same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Let me tell you again, brothers and sisters, angels do not have sex with people. And listen carefully. Fallen angels are no longer sons of Yah. Let me say that again. Fallen angels are no longer sons of Yah. As an example, Abraham's children are the sons of Yah, except when they don't belong to Yah. Messiah told scribes and Pharisees who are bloodline relatives to him, he said, I know you're the children of Abraham, but you do the deeds of your father. His lust is what you do. And they said, our father's Abraham. He said, if Abraham was really your father, you would do the works of Abraham. No, but you do the deeds of your father. Your father is the devil, he said. And the lust of your father you will do. John chapter 8. He said he was a liar from the beginning and a murderer from the beginning. And when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh his own, because he's the father of lies. Messiah said. So fallen angels are children of the devil. They're not children of Yah. And holy angels do not have sex with women on the earth. So any books you're reading that's telling you this are lying. Verse 5. And Yah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented Yahweh that he made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And Yahweh said, I will destroy man, whom I have made, who I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast and creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahweh. Noah found grace. There was one man on the earth who was sealed with Yah's spirit. Wait a minute, let me say that again. Testing 1, 2, 3. I'll make sure y'all hear me. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. There was one man on the earth who was sealed in Yah's spirit, and his family was blessed after him. That's the representation of the 144,000, which are now in the process of being sealed on the earth right now. Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahweh. And Noah, the Bible says, and these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with Yah. And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Here's another thing that people are confused about. Which one was the oldest? It always telling you. See, brothers and sisters, when something right in your face, believe it, okay? If it's in the Bible. Every time he names Noah's son, he names them in order. Shem, Ham, Japheth. Shem, Ham, Japheth. He's telling you what the order is. Firstborn, Shem. Middle child, Ham. Last one, Japheth. He's telling you. Shem, Ham, Japheth. Okay? Every time he names them, that's how he names them. In order of their birth. Verse 11. The earth also, aside from the sons of Yah, leaving him for the sons and daughters of men, and having children with heathen, and corrupting themselves, aside from that, he said, the earth also, all the rest of the earth, was corrupt before the Most High, and the earth was filled with violence. Brothers and sisters? Does that sound familiar? Is the earth corrupt? Is the earth corrupt? Are the governments of this world corrupt? Come on. Wait. Is it filled with violence? Is this world filled with violence? As it was in the days of Noah. My spirit shall not always strive with man. Except now, we down to about 7 to 12 years. Okay? Very close to the end. Verse 12. And the Most High looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. For all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And the Most High said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me. For the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them. I will destroy them with the earth. So then he goes into Noah's way of escape, telling Noah to make an ark to save him and his family. So it was Noah. Okay, it was Noah and Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their children, their wives with them. It was Noah and Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and then Noah's wife. So you had Noah and 7. Wait, did y'all catch that? You had Noah and 7. 7 is completion, fulfillment, okay, perfection. Noah and 7. Men on the earth at that time living 8 centuries, 9 centuries, having children. Earth is filled with people. But who was delivered? Noah and 7. Brothers and sisters, what's getting ready to come on this planet is such that most of the planet's going to be destroyed. As far as the human population, the majority, the great majority of it is going to be destroyed. That's what's getting ready to come. See, right now, as I often say to y'all, we're dealing with dress rehearsal. What do I mean by dress rehearsal? Let me just say that real quick. What do I mean by dress rehearsal? Brothers and sisters, right now, the COVID virus is a man-made phenomenon. It's man-made, okay? And it's purposely done to reduce populations because there are people that are on top of this earth under the power of Asatan, spiritual wickedness in high places that run this planet under the power of Asatan, under his direct supervision and authority. The Bible says the dragon gave him his power, seat, and great authority. All right, that's how this earth is run. And so, what the Most High allows what we are seeing for us to be prepared for what's coming, for us to understand, because when the plagues fall from the Most High, you see, brothers and sisters, children of the Most High are used to trusting their Father. Like the Father gives us his word, he gives us visions, he gives us dreams. He is very faithful to warn us about stuff that's coming. Okay, he's very faithful to do that. He warns us ahead of time to be prepared about what's coming. And we are used to that. We're used to him speaking to us through dreams and visions and his word. We're used to his spirit impressing us, and we trust in that. So that though things go crazy around us, we are so used to the word of the Most High, to his spirit guiding us, that's what gives us comfort. Because we recall what he's shown us. You understand? We recall what he has shown us, and in the midst of trouble, it gives us comfort. So things can go crazy. We can be in bad situations, but at the end, we have hope. The Bible says we say by hope. We have hope because he has already shown us the situation was coming. He's already shown us that he's going to deliver us from it. So therefore, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna be uncomfortable, but we can have hope because we know he's already shown us he's going to deliver us. Okay, that's what keeps us in the midst of trouble. But the heathen are not so. The heathen used to trust in themselves. The heathen are used to thinking that they control everything. And they can't stand it when they appear not to have control. You want to see a heathen get really upset? either touch his money or let him think he's not in control. Then he'll get upset. He'll get real angry. Okay, because for the last 2,000 years, according to prophetic utterance, the heathen have been running things on this earth. So in their carnal mind, they begin to believe that they're God on this earth, and they do what they want. Because according to Asatan's top doctrine, you shall be as gods. And they believe that. And they think they control everything. That's why you come out with stuff like you can create your own destiny. That's BS. The Most High creates destiny. Either we receive it or we don't, and we try to go our own way. And in that regard, you try to create your own destiny, but it's foolish. The destiny the Most High has for his chosen is eternal existence in a kingdom of righteousness. That's the destiny he had for all his chosen. Okay? And those that are not his chosen by blood, that want to be involved with that, they cling to the shirt tails, to the skirts of his chosen to get what they get. But they're very few and far between. But anyway, so they know they can trust their father. The heathen don't. So when these plagues start to fall, you ain't see the plagues are different from COVID-19 in the sense that it's not man-made. See, that's what you have to understand. When the plagues come, man is not controlling it. He can't control it. And in that regard, it starts to drive him insanely mad because he can't stop it and he can't control it. And that's when he starts to go crazy. See, whereas Yah's chosen, understanding already that the plagues were coming, understanding his word already that he's going to save us out of it, understanding that we'll be in the midst of it too. And yeah, we're going to suffer not as much as the heathen, but we're going to suffer some things in terms of hunger and thirst and heat. Bible shows us that. But we have hope because we know it was coming and we understand it's going to be bad and we know we're going to get the other side. And that's what's going to drive this earth crazy because they're not going to have any control over these plagues when they start to fall. And they're not going to be able to stop it. They're not going to have any remedy for it. And that's what's coming. But notice again, Genesis chapter 6. Verse 17 and 18. Yah's conversation with Noah by his spirit. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of water upon the earth to destroy all flesh wherein is the breath of life from under heaven. And everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant. And thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. So he's going to destroy everything that had the breath of life in it that was on the dry land. See, that's why people think, well, you die and go to heaven. Your spirit go to heaven and you up there. Then that means that all of these heathen, all these people that died in the flood, they're up there looking down. No, but I know how some of these Christians think. Then they'll say, well, that's before Jesus. Woo, man. No, when you dead, you dead until there's a resurrection. And he told Noah, I'm establishing my covenant with you. The same covenant he made later with Abraham. And then after that, with Isaac. And then after that, with Jacob. And then the whole nation of Israel, which we just read in Deuteronomy chapter 5. Same covenant. Okay. So this is describing what happened prior to the flood, and it's also describing what's happening now. Noah is represented by the 144,000. Okay. And the 7 are representing the perfect number, is representing what's going to receive this truth from the 144,000 and be delivered. Okay. Revelation chapter 21. Revelation chapter 21. One of my favorite things to read. I just like to read this, but it does fit with what we're going through now. But I just like to read it because you know what the Bible says. We become partakers of a divine nature through the great and precious promises of the word of the Most High. We become partakers of the divine nature by the great and precious promises, by receiving these promises by the word of the Most High. Here's one of them. Revelation chapter 21. We'll begin at verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. What is this saying? This whole thing, everything you see right now, it's going to be destroyed and done over. Everything you see is going to be destroyed and done over. All the people that are not sealed in the Spirit of the Father are going to be destroyed. They're not going to be done over. But the people that have received the Father's Spirit have been done over. What does that mean? That's called what? What? Born again. The people that have been done over are going to be able to survive. And they're going to be changed into new bodies to go with their new spirit that the Father gave us. And the earth, new heaven, new earth, it's all going to be with no atmosphere of sin or death. Notice again, and this is going to set the stage for verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Yah out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So the city coming down from the third heaven, the city that is not made with human hand. You see, brothers and sisters, at that time, in the beginning of the kingdom of Messiah, everything on the earth will have not been made with human hands. Now, once we are here, we're going to build and plant and grow stuff and eat stuff that we've grown and all of that. We're going to build houses and build buildings. It's going to happen, but Isaiah also tells us that. But in the beginning of it, it's going to be only what Yah created. Doesn't that sound familiar? When Adam was created on the earth and he's placed in the garden, everything on the earth was what? What Yah created, right? That's how it started. Everything was pure. Everything was in balance. Everything was in harmony. Well, brothers and sisters are going to return to that. Purity, balance, and harmony. Everything, including the city itself. This city of New Jerusalem. See, the old Jerusalem was made by the hands of man. The one in the days of our fathers, the one that David dwelt in, was made by the Jebusites. They built that one. Okay, that was a city built by them that the children of Judah and Benjamin took over. But that was destroyed. And the one that now exists in 2020 was made by the hands of heathen, right? So we know, that's going to be destroyed. But this one is made by the hands of Yah himself. Okay? Coming down from Yah out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of Yah is with men, and he will dwell with them. And they shall be his people, and Yah himself shall be with them and be their most high. And Yah shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. That's why I say in the beginning, this goes out to all the people that are tired of lies, all the people that are tired of pain, all the people also that are tired of crying and death and sorrow. If you're truly tired of that, if you've been suffering that and you want it to come to an end, not just for yourself, but for the whole planet, you need to come to the Creator. To the Creator. See, notice I'm not saying you need to join a church. I need you to be baptized into blah, blah, blah church. You need to come to your Creator. And you need to surrender to Him and receive of Him all his truth, then you can be part of this kingdom. All his truth. All his truth. And Yah shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. Isn't that a beautiful thing? He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his most high, and he shall be my son, or my daughter, as it were. But the fearful and unbelieving, and the abominable, and murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. There you go. See, brothers and sisters, this is what's coming. This is what's coming. But before we get to this, before we get there, it's going to be a lot of violence, a lot of bloodshed. And why? Brothers and sisters, in case you didn't know, we're involved in a spiritual war. Spiritual war has been raging in the Bible for 6,000 years. It's been raging between the Creator, the Father Yah, and his representative on earth, which is Messiah. His representative is Messiah, against Satan, the adversary, the devil, the fallen angel, the murderer, and the father of lies, who deceives the whole earth and controls it. This spiritual war has been raging, and as it's coming to a close, you see, brothers and sisters, a third of heaven's angels fell with the liar. They believed the liar, and they fell with the liar. A third of the angels of heaven. And brothers and sisters, the continued existence of their lives depends on them controlling this earth. That's why Messiah said the words when he said, upon this rock, I'm going to build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. What is all that? Christians use it to mean, my denomination. That's crap. Let me tell you the truth. When he says upon this rock, it's Messiah. His church is his nation. That's his church. The church in the wilderness, the Bible says, that's the nation of Israel, his chosen people. So that's his church. That's his body. That's his bride. Okay? And so he said, on this rock, I'm going to build, and let me put it in the word that you can hear it clearly. I'm going to build my nation. And then he said, the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. What does that mean? Brothers and sisters, when there's a war in Bible times, right? When one side is getting the advantage, they come to the major city, the capital city, the other side, okay? And they try to take that city. And in that time, everybody, every country's, every nation's capital city was usually surrounded by a big wall and thick gates and heavy soldiers and guards. Okay, so that the invading army could not take the city. That's what they were trying to prevent. Because once the invading army took that city, they owned the country. Just like here in the United States, if somebody was to invade the United States and take over Washington, D.C., they would own the country. Okay, but in Bible times, they had walls around the city. Like Jerusalem had tall walls around the city. And they had heavy guards and their best soldiers there to protect the city. The major city, the capital city. And Messiah said, the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. In other words, they're going to crash in this kingdom. They're going to crash through Satan's gates and destroy him and take his capital city and take him and destroy him. Upon this rock, I will build my nation, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Satan is very well aware of what I just told you. Very well aware. And he's going to use all the power. He has no, when he was thrown back to this earth and his angels with him, they didn't lose any power. All the power of the mighty angel. He's an archangel. All his power is intact, and he's using everything in his deceivable arsenal to control the earth. See, first step is to completely control the earth. And not only that, brothers and sisters, what Satan is doing and how he has to control it, he needs the people to willingly surrender to his control. That's why he uses deception. He needs the people to ask for their enslavement. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Okay? That's exactly what we're seeing. So he's deceiving the people to ask for their enslavement so that he can go to the Most High and say, they asked for me. They do not want you. So this earth now belongs to me. That's what he wants to be able to say. But because of the 144,000, they will not surrender themselves to Satan or this world. No, they surrendered themselves, just like Azariah, Mishael, and Hananiah, who became Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Just like them three did not surrender themselves to Nebuchadnezzar when he said, bow to my statue, and they said no, the 144,000 and those with them will not bow to the giant system of Babylon that we are now in. They will depend on the Most High. They will not break covenant with him. What did Nebuchadnezzar want them three boys to do? Bow to another god. And let me tell you right now a secret. All Christianity is another god. The United States, as prophecy shows us in Revelation chapter 13, is the lamb-like beast that speaks like a dragon and is controlled by the dragon, and it follows orders of the first beast before him. And it causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast. The major religion of the United States is Christianity. The major religion of the United States is Christianity. The United States looks like a lamb and speaks like a dragon. Think about it. The United States looks like a lamb, but out of his mouth comes the voice of a dragon. In other words, it's in disguise. And the lamb is representing Christianity because they claim to represent Jesus, who is the white Jesus of Christianity. And they allow or disallow whatever religions exist. For example, in the United States of America, on 9/11, after 9/11, all the Islamic temples, all the Islamic mosques in this nation were at risk. And not only in this nation, in all the developed nations of the earth. And the United States allowed them to continue as long as they can prove they weren't terrorists. Even now in China, they are persecuting Muslims. Even now, they don't trust them after 9/11. Okay? And so the Christian religion basically allows or disallows other religions. As long as those other religions understand that the Christian religion in the United States, God and their government is in charge. And they represent the beast who gets power, seat, and authority from the dragon. Okay? So you're going to get a situation where the 144,000's belief system is against the systems of this earth. And the plagues that are coming and the things that happen are going to be blamed on them. Because again, sinners start to blame other people for their own predicament. That's what Adam did. He started blaming the Most High. He said, this woman you gave me caused the problem. It was her fault I ate the fruit. She said, well, that serpent you put in the garden tricked me and I ate the fruit. They start to blame everybody. So brothers and sisters, as we get closer to the end, these heathen will start to get angry at us and blame us for everything that's happening on the earth and want to kill us. Whoever would not worship the image to the beast should be killed. He said, oh, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, is it true? I'm going to give you one more chance, or I'm going to throw you in this fiery furnace. See? Same thing. History is always repeating. You want to know what's getting ready to happen on planet Earth? Just look at the past. Look at the Bible and history, man. It's all there. It's all there. For anybody that bother to read, see? Some people just read the New Testament. Right? And then, unfortunately, you got people that I only read the books of Moses. It's all there. It's Genesis to Revelation. You don't need no other book. It's all there. If you just read that one, it'll tell you everything. Tell you everything I just told you. Okay? So a kingdom is coming where there's no more death, no more sorrow, no more crying. It's a kingdom of righteousness. And it gets to the point on the earth where the Most High will say, it's enough. I'm done with this. And he'll say to the 144,000 and those with them, you have found grace in my sight. Listen again. It's not because they joined somebody's church. It's because they're obedient to the word of the Most High alone. And that's why Asatan's fighting so hard to get everybody away from this Bible. Away from this Bible. He's throwing all kind of other versions out there, all kind of other lost books that we found in the Red Sea, the Dead Sea Scrolls, all this other crap. Anything to get you off this book. Because he knows if you follow this one, it's very simple. Follow these 66 books, man, tells you everything you need to know. Everything. Get you prepared. Okay? Now, let's go now to Isaiah 62. Man, you're going to see, man, this is a beautiful, beautiful chapter. I mean, again, just as a reminder, remember what the Bible says now. Remember what it says. It says that through the divine, we become partakers of the divine nature and escape the world that escape the lust of the world. Let me just read it real quick, just because I'm paraphrasing. I'm doing a terrible job. Let's look at 2 Peter before we go to Isaiah 62 on our way. 2 Peter, beginning at verse 3 and going to verse 4. 2 Peter chapter 1 from verse 3 to verse 4. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 3 to 4. Notice what it said. According as the Father's divine power had given unto us all things that pertain to life and godliness, through the knowledge of him that has called us to glory and virtue, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these, that is by the exceeding great and precious promises, ye, that is you and me, might become partakers, that is, we're sharing in something that we don't naturally possess, right? Become partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. Partakers of a divine nature. That is, brothers and sisters, you and I have human nature. We have human nature. We're born that way, born with human nature. That's all. That's why we're born sinners. We're born with human nature. Now, the difference between us and Messiah was son of man, is son of man, and is also son of Yah, which means he's born also of divine nature. That's why the Bible said, when Gabriel said, that which is conceived in thee is of the set apart spirit. It's the Father's spirit that said that conceived Messiah in her belly, in her womb. So he is not only human nature from his mother, divine nature from his father. Okay. And so he invites us. Messiah is our example and everything. The Messiah, Father intends that we should be like Messiah. Not that we're going to be Messiah, but we should be like him. We should be replications of him in spirit. So we are already human nature. He wants us to be partakers of divine nature by putting a trust in his word, in his word. And he says, especially his promises, because his promises give us hope and strength to get through what we're dealing with now and what we're going to deal with shortly. Okay? We can get through anything when we know there's an end. Like I used to have a basketball coach. He used to tell me, he used to, not just me, but he used to tell all of us, he used to put us through hell in practices, man. I mean, have us running pro sprints, have us sitting in stances for minutes at a time. We'd be in pain. And he'd do it for anything he did didn't last more than a minute. He said, you can do anything for a minute. That's what he would tell him. He said, it's only gonna, you could do anything, or he'd say 30 seconds. You could do anything for 30 seconds. See, so we'd be suffering, but we knew at the end of that 30 seconds of that minute it'd be over. So we went through it because we knew an end was coming. And that's what the Father gives us in his word. We know when you are trusting him, he will show you there's an end coming. Look at that, because you're going to get through everything that comes between you and that end. I'm going to get you through it, but you got to believe in that end. That gives us the hope, the expectation. And he says, the expectation of his people shall not be cut off. See, when you don't know the end, when you don't trust the Father, it's almost hard. It's going to be hard for you to survive. Because you don't know when it ends. It's going to be hopeless. And when hopelessness comes, okay, so that we can be in a situation, and I've been there a few times, and I'm sure you have too, where in life it's almost like you're standing on the edge of an abyss. Have you ever been in that situation in your life where it's almost like you're standing on the edge of an abyss and you're thinking, man, this is it, I'm done. And somehow, when you get through it, you realize the Creator got you through that because you were about to fall into a bottomless pit. It was almost over. And he got you through, right? So now, when we understand the Father and we trust in him, and he shows us the end from the beginning, because he said he will not do anything unless he reveals his secret to his servants, the prophets. So he shows us. And because we know an end is coming, we'll be able to stand on the edge of the abyss and know we're going to be all right. Scary as it'll be. Okay? Now, Isaiah chapter 62. Isaiah chapter 62, man. Woo. Now, we read Isaiah 61. And I like to read the end of Isaiah 61 as it flows into Isaiah 62. I'm going to begin at verse 6 of 61 and go all the way through to verse 1 of 62, okay? He says here, but ye, that is you, his chosen people, hey, Cornelius, hey, Jake, his chosen people, he said, you shall be named priests of Yahweh, and men shall call you ministers of our Most High. See? Going to be a nation of priests and ministers and kings. But he's priests first because it is through the chosen people that he teaches the earth about the true God. That's the order of things. I didn't make that up. It's not me just saying, the Israelites are just going to be on top. No, the Most High said that. It's through him that he chooses Israel, his chosen, to reveal to the heathen himself. That's why he told Cornelius, the angel came. Remember the angel came down? Cornelius was praying. The angel came. Now, angels know everything about the truth. The chosen angels, the unfallen angels. But he told Cornelius, he said, your prayers have come up as a memorial before the Most High. Go call Peter, and he's going to tell you the words of life. Why didn't the angel tell Cornelius himself? Why didn't he say to Cornelius, these are the words of truth? He didn't do that because Cornelius was a heathen. So he said, call Peter. Because Peter was a Hebrew. Call Peter and he's going to tell you. And why did he say to Paul, I've chosen you, Paul, as a vessel to bear my name to the Gentiles? He said, Paul, I've chosen you as a vessel. And Paul said, I am the chosen apostle of the Gentiles, and I magnify mine office, because that was his job. Because, brothers and sisters, the Most High has a chosen people, and he wants his chosen people to reveal himself to the earth. The reason we got an earth filled with violence, the reason we got an earth filled with apostasy, the reason we got an earth filled with heathenism and paganism is because his chosen people were apostate. And that's what happens to the earth when it's chosen people. Remember, we just read Genesis. Sons of God going to the daughters of men. They start compromising. Everything goes to crap. But when the awakening, which is now underway, is taking place now. People are now waking up. They're being awakened to who they really are. The ADOS are being awakened to who they really are. That's not like a theoretical thing. That's not like intelligence thing. That's a spirit thing. That's the Father Spirit tapping us on the shoulder saying, okay, it's time to wake up. It's like, get up. It's time to go to work, right? He's saying, wake up. It's time to go now. It's time to go to work. Wake up, my people. This is who you really are. That's what's happening. It's happening now. And when we're fully awake, when the people are fully awakened and they receive the truth of the power of Father Spirit, as is happening now, as I said many times, once that happens, game, set, match. Game over. Okay. And that's what's in process right now. As we're seeing all this corruption on the earth, just had the Republican National Convention. We had the Democratic National Convention. Both of them smell like doo-doo. And I'm trying to tell you, this whole earth is corrupt. And it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. Okay. On all levels. I just read today, man, it hurt my heart. They're expecting by October, which is only this is August 28th, right? So you're talking about 60 days till October, right? They're expecting 12 million people to be evicted from their homes in this country in October. 12 million people to be evicted from their homes in this country in October. The United States of America houses more prisoners in their jails than the next 5 countries combined. Think about that. Think about that. More U.S. citizens die at the hands of the police in the United States in 1 year than the next 5 to 10 nations combined. Think about that. And this is the top nation on the earth. There's no doubt. This nation here is the top one. I mean, it's a fact. Controls everything. And this is how corrupt it is. It's going to get worse. So the Most High is awakening his people to teach those that want it who the true God is and what it takes to be saved by him before it's too late. Priests of Yahweh, men shall call you ministers of our Most High. Ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, and in their glory shall ye boast yourselves. For your shame ye shall have double, and for confusion they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore in their land they shall possess the double. Everlasting joy shall be unto them. For I, Yahweh, love judgment and hate robbery for burnt offering. See, that's when religions try to gain money off you. You ever notice that? What these churches want from you? Money. Isn't that right? All these organized religions, Christian, when they want money. That's what they want from you. They want your money. And when you give them your money, they say you're giving it to the Lord. And they ripping you off like pimps. He hates it. He said, I hate it. Because it's misrepresenting him. That's our Satan right there, doing that. And I will direct their work in truth, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them, and their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which Yahweh hath blessed. I will greatly rejoice in Yahweh. My soul shall be joyful in my Most High, for he hath clothed me with the garments of salvation, and hath covered me with the robe of righteousness. See how many times I'm always talking about the robe of righteousness? See, that's the blessing, brothers and sisters. You see, it's not that I'm righteous. It's that Yah has blessed me and covered me with his righteousness. See, it's not because I'm good. I'm terrible. It's because he is good. Shabbat shalom, David. You understand? Y'all know how I feel about this here. Ugh. Damn, I can't even talk about it. Give you a story. I might have told y'all before. Um, Explain something a little bit. Sorry. Um, about 1987. About 1987, I'd say. Yeah, around 87. I used to live, my wife and I, my son, lived in a small apartment in New York City. Studio apartment in Manhattan, three of us in a studio apartment. We had been married just a few years. And I had a dream. I had a dream. Again, I tell you, he leads us in dreams, man. I'm in New York City in my little studio apartment, and I fell asleep and I had a dream. And in the dream, I'm standing in the living room in the dream. And the first thing I noticed when I'm standing in this living room was a rug, the carpet. It was a rust colored carpet. And there was no furniture in the house. The house was like bare. And after I noticed the carpet, I looked out. There was a bay window in the living room, a bay window. And I looked out the bay window, and I saw a moving truck, like um, I forgot, like Ryder moving truck, something like that, or one of the moving trucks like that. And people were putting stuff into the truck, like they had taken it from the house I was standing in and was putting it in the truck. Okay. At that time, I looked to my right because as I'm standing and looking out the front of the house in the bay window, I looked to my right because the front door was to my right, and there was a little hallway that led to the front door. And between the living room where I was standing in that hallway, there was an opening. Like it's a colonial style house, so there was an opening, and there were two. I'll just say they were beings. I know they were angels, but there were two beings there. I couldn't see their faces because they had hoodies on. Right? They had hoodies on, and they were facing each other like they were having a conversation. Okay, like they were having a conversation just between themselves, but they were talking about me. And my government name is Todd. Okay, so they were looking at each other with their heads kind of tilted with hoodies on, and I couldn't see their face. And one said to the other, "Why is Brother Todd standing in the living room talking to himself?" This is what I dreamt. I'm telling you. In 1987, he said, "Why is Brother Todd standing in the living room talking to himself?" And then the other one said, "He's not talking to himself." He said, "Look." And he pointed at the ground next to me. And I looked, and there was these giant footprints in the rust colored carpet, giant footprints standing right next to me. And there was a cloud with the footprints. It was just like a cloud. And I felt a presence. Brothers and sisters, all I can tell you is that I felt a power of grace such that whenever I talk about grace, this is what happens to me every time. And that was 1987. I could not even say the word grace for years because of that. Now, that was 1987. 4 years later, in 1991, my wife and I were looking for a house. She was pregnant with my second child at that time. He'd become my second son. We were looking for a house, man. We were looking, and nothing seemed right. Right? Nothing seemed right. And we were working with this real estate agent. She was from Czechoslovakia when it was Czechoslovakia. And she She used to call me smart one because I thought I knew everything. She used to call me, she had a European accent. She was a smart one, like that. So we had looked at hundreds of houses and couldn't find it. And so I went to her office and I was beleaguered. I was just discouraged. Her name was Terry. I said, Terry, I don't know what we're going to do, man. I want to get a house and I can't, because my goal was to have a house before my second child was born. That was my goal. We had lived in an apartment for a long time. And I said, I'm tired of this. I want us to have a house. I want my children to have rooms. So I was determined. I was working 3 jobs, man. I was trying to get it done, right? So I was beleaguered. I was discouraged. And she looked at me and she smiled and she said, smart one, come with me. And I said, come with you. Mind you, we had been looking for over a year for a house. I said, Terry, what are you talking about? She said, I'm going to show you the house you're going to buy. That's what she said. She said, follow me. She said, leave your car here and come with me. I said, where is it? She said, it's right around the corner. I said, what? I couldn't believe, because I thought I had seen everything. Just like she said, we got in her car. The house was in the car was like a minute. It was probably, I could have walked there in 3 to 5 minutes, easy. Pull up in front of this house. And I'm telling you, as I'm sitting here, I felt like I had been there before. I was like, I said, I never saw this house before, but it feels like we never saw this house before. She said, no. She said, you're going to buy this one. And brothers and sisters, I walked in the house. The first thing I saw was that bay window, that living room, and that rust-colored rug. That's the first thing I saw. And I knew we were going to be in that house. So I thought the Most High had showed me the house we were going to buy, but it wasn't that. It wasn't that we did buy that house in 1991. It wasn't that, though. That's not what he was showing me. 7 years later, 1998, we had just come through. From the time we moved in that house till 1998, boy, it was trial and fire. I mean, we ended up losing the house to foreclosure. And the day we had to move out the house, I had sent my wife and my children to stay with my father. I sent them to stay with my father on Long Island. I was in Connecticut. And I sent them to stay. I didn't want them to have to deal with seeing all of that, right? So I had some friends pull up a truck in the front yard, in front of the bay window. And I was going through the rooms of the house. And remember, because I have 4 children, 3 of them were born in that house, starting with my second child and then my 2 daughters after that. Everybody was born in the house. So there was memories in that house. There was memories of the children. One of the reasons we lost the house, and I'm not making an excuse, but my wife and I decided to homeschool all our children. We did not want them going to these public schools. We didn't trust them. And so we did that. And I felt like I failed. And I felt like I let the Most High down. You ever feel like that? And I remembered I was standing in that living room. All the furniture was gone. Looking out that bay window, looking at that truck that I had seen in my dream. And he was showing me from 1987, this is going to happen to you, and I'm still with you. I apologize for the tears. But like I said, ever since he showed me that, every time I say grace or think about his righteousness for us, this happens to me. I'm sorry. It's crazy. I wish it didn't. But ever since then, that's what happens. And since then, we have lived several places. And except for one place, which we were there for 2 years. Before any place that we lived, he's always shown me. Since then, he's always shown me in a dream what the place looks like. I'm not lying. Every time. Since that, we moved to another house we rented for a year. He showed me that house beforehand. Then there was a house he didn't show me. I don't know why, but we lived there for 2.5 years. And then after that, he showed me the next place we lived in. He actually walked me through that house in the dream. So that when we got there, I didn't understand why I felt like, again, I felt like I had been there already. Where I just didn't realize it was that place until we got there. And then when we left there, he showed me the next house. And then the place that we live in now, he showed me this one. So he lets us know where he's getting ready to send us and why, right? Or not why, but when where he's getting ready to send us. We don't never know. At least I don't never know exactly where it is. Like when he showed me this place, I didn't know it was in the Washington, D.C. area. He showed me going in subways, and I thought it was New York. I told my wife, we're going back to New York. We were in Roanoke, Virginia. I said, we're going back to New York. I was on the subway. We're going back to New York. And then when I got to the train station here in Northern Virginia, it was like I had it was like I had been there before. Because I had been there before. You understand? So that's why I say the message of righteousness is the most important message in the Bible. Righteousness by faith. The way the Most High causes us to walk in his law. It's not because we just decide to walk in his law. It's because he gives us his spirit of righteousness. He covers us, as it says here, with his robe of righteousness. And it's beautiful. Like, I confess my sin to him. And through the Messiah, he acts like I never did it. Even when I think I failed him. Oh, man. And he does that for anybody that wants to be obedient to him. That's why when people are telling you the law is done away with, that's a lie. He covers you with righteousness and makes you obedient through his spirit. It's granted. It's not something you can earn. And it causes you to be obedient. Okay? And that's what his word says. I will pour my spirit on you and cause you to keep my commandments and walk in my statutes and judgments and do them. That's Ezekiel chapter 36. That's what it tells you, verse 27. That's how it works. His Messiah became sin for us who knew no sin, that we might be made God's righteousness in him. And you know what else? I always like to tell people, when he gives us this robe, right? It's cute in a way. Listen up. When he gives us this robe, okay, it's too big for us. It's a big robe. And the coat is too big for us. It covers us and almost hides us in it. So that if somebody was to look at us and see it, to see the spiritual robe of righteousness he put on, listen, man, that coat's too big for you, right? But then what do? He works on us from the inside of the coat of righteousness. He works on us. And we grow in grace. It gets to the point, especially in these last days, it gets to the point where we grow up and the coat fits us perfectly. And then that's the day he's going to look at us and he's going to say, look at you. I lent you my coat and you done grew up in it. Okay, I tell you what, you keep it. It's yours now. That's when the Bible says in Revelation chapter 22, he that is righteous, let him stay righteous still. He that is holy, let him stay holy still. And it says the white linen is the righteousness of saints, because to her it was granted that she should be arrayed in white linen, clean and white, for the white linen is the righteousness of saints. That's when he looks at us and he says, oh, I see you grown into the robe. Keep it. It was mine, but I'm giving it to you now. Isn't that beautiful? So when the Bible talks about covering us with his robe of righteousness, that's what it's talking about. Okay? It's the most beautiful thing in the scriptures. And it all happens through Messiah. Messiah is the word made flesh. Father has appointed him. Messiah say, pray to your Father which is in secret, and the Father which seeth in secret shall reward you openly. So we pray to the Father, okay, in the name of Messiah. And then John say, I come to you baptizing you with water, but there come one after me whose shoes lasted I am not worthy to unloose. He shall baptize you in the Holy Ghost and in fire. That's Messiah. Father has appointed him the power to grant to whoever he will his righteousness and his spirit. Okay? And so that's this robe right here. Man, this is some salvation that we get, man. It is some salvation that we get. Okay? We're not going to get all through 62 today. I'm going to read the first couple of verses, but you understand, because I had to tell you that. But the Most High just expressed to me for me to say. But let's continue, though, from verse 10 of chapter 62, excuse me. I will greatly rejoice in Yahweh. My soul shall be joyful in my Most High. For he hath clothed me with garments of salvation, and he hath covered me with the robe of righteousness. As a bridegroom decketh himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorneth herself with jewels. For as the earth bringeth forth and her bud, as the earth bringeth forth her bud, and as the garden causes the things that are sown in it to spring forth, so shall the Most High Yahweh cause righteousness and praise to spring forth before all nations. Powerful. Verse 1 of 62. He says, for Zion's sake will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. So what is he saying? Brothers and sisters, he's getting fed up with everything on this planet. And he's saying, you see, for that Jerusalem where there's going to be no more death, no more dying, no more pain. He said, for that sake, I'm putting an end to it. I'm going to cause salvation and righteousness to spring forth with brightness. That's why he says at the city, see, in the kingdom, the city itself has no need of the sun. I'm not saying there's not going to be a sun and the moon. There's going to be forever sun and moon, but there's no need of it because the brightness of his presence in the city is way brighter than the sun. Isn't that beautiful? Praise the Most High, man. He says, for I will not rest until righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. Praise the Most High. So right now, the final piece of this is the awakening of his chosen people to who they are and receiving his perfect righteousness, the robe of righteousness, for the earth to see. So that any person, no matter what color you are, no matter what religion you were, no matter what nation you were born into, because as I said before, brothers, I'm going to say it again, no person, no man on the planet can control where he's born. You can't control what you look like from birth, what color your skin is, what nation you're born into. You have no say of that. You can't control who your parents are. You're just born into it. So I happen to be born from descendants of slaves that were settled in Jamaica and Florida. I did not choose that. I was born into that. Okay? So I was born as a child of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I did not choose it. But there's somebody else born in North Korea. They didn't choose to be born there. Somebody else born in Russia. They didn't choose to be born there. People are born where they're born. So Messiah, through his chosen, must give thorough opportunity for everybody on the planet to get this robe of righteousness. Okay? He must. Because people cannot choose where they're born. They cannot choose who their parents are. And yet, he wants the world to be saved. Yes, he does. But it has to be through Israel. It has to be. Why? Because that's his word. To the Jew first, and also to the Greek. He told the woman in Samaria, salvation is of the Jews. That's what he said. Salvation is of the Jews. So that's the Ados must awaken, and there must be a remnant of them that bring forth this truth. And this is the true gospel. This ain't the white Jesus, Christian, raise your hand and you're saved and you're once saved. No, this is the true one that causes you to be in line with his covenant, in line with his law, in line with his righteousness. He causes it for his own name's sake. Isn't that what Psalm 23 said? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. See? Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. See that? Let's finish. I'm going to finish tonight with verse 2. And the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all the kings thy glory, and thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of Yahweh shall name. See? All of his servants will get a new name. See, the Bible, we already read it in the 44th, Isaiah 44. It told us already that in the end, the servants of Yah will be naming themselves by the Most High, by the names of the Most High's chosen. Like he has given me the name Gabar Sadak. Even though my government name is Todd, he said, you're Gabar Sadak. He spirit gave me that. But that's not going to be, he's going to name me and you a new name that he's going to name us. Why? Because ultimately he's our Father. Isn't that correct? He's our Father. And the Father gives the name. Isn't it beautiful, man? Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. Well, I pray that the Most High causes you to be covered in that robe of righteousness. I pray that his spirit causes you to bring forth obedience. I pray that his spirit rests in you and causes you to grow in his grace so that that coat fits you perfectly and that you are prepared against what's now happening and what's just ahead of us. Amen.